to listen to The Fan.
Hey, welcome back. 706 Power Trip Morning Show. Here we are. It's February 29th. It's a leap day, ladies and gentlemen. And Thursday, Ben Lieber in studio, talking about football, talking this, that, and the other. We'll have Tom Pelissero, I believe. What time did we say Pelissero?
7:40, Daddy.
7:40. Thank you for Vikings News.
740.com, Tom.
So that'll be great. All of that happening
You
right
have to
now.
call him. He doesn't let me have his phone number.
Okay. Yeah, he gave it to me and he asked me specifically not to give it to you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It does.
Hey, little promotion for tomorrow's show. The St. Paul Federal Credit Union initials jackpot hits $60,000 tomorrow. And our brand new friend, Amy Hockert, is going to be the guest player because Parrish is out tomorrow.
That's right.
So Amy Hockert in for Parrish.
That's right.
And one of you listeners will have a shot to call in. You just guess the initials I'm going to use. You could win $60,000 tomorrow. Ben, that's $60,000. That's like
$60,000 real cash.
That's like one of your old workout bonuses or something. Isn't that about what it was?
Salisbury steak you want.
Something like that or more.
It was more than that.
Was there a zero at the end of it?
You know what?
Am I missing a zero?
I'm actually forgetting now. No, I think it was like
In that range, though?
It was in that range, maybe 50.
God. Sauce, how much would you have to be paid to work out 365 consecutive days?
What?
Oh, man, that's a good question.
Can't miss a day, or you don't get the money.
What's considering working out?
Let's say minimum 30 minutes of cardio or weights. 30 minutes minimum a day for an entire year.
So
you get a, quote, workout bonus if you can complete 365.
So if I walked on the treadmill for 30 minutes,
Sure.
that would count.
Yep.
Man, it's a large number. But I could
What
walk
about
on
60K?
Yeah, probably.
What about 40K?
No.
What about 59.5?
60K is my rock bottom.
Always the first up.
KFAN News
I'm not
with
good at
Chris
this.
Hockey.
Hi, everybody. It's Leap Day, the 29th.
Leap day. Again,
That's right.
Bonus day. Do something productive.
That's right. If you'd
I'm
like.
not going to. I'm going to sleep it away. But you guys could probably spend your time wisely and do something with your lives.
The stars of Curb Your Enthusiasm are remembering the late, great Richard Lewis. The comedian died Tuesday of a heart attack. His most recent role was on the hit Larry David comedy show, Curb Your Enthusiasm.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
So good. He was so good. Only 76 years old. Rest in peace, funny man. We appreciate it. It was fun. Yeah.
I liked a lot of, one of my favorite things about Curb are the side characters like Richard Lewis who play themselves or like Ted Danson who aren't in every episode.
Yeah.
So then every fifth or sixth episode they're in it and they got some kind of a funny angle.
Yeah.
Right? It's almost like if you had Richard Lewis every episode of Curb, maybe it would have worn out. But the fact that you had him maybe twice a season was just enough to be like, God, Richard Lewis is funny.
Yeah, he's great.
Except
Right
for JB
balance.
Smoove. I want him in.
Well,
Yeah,
JB's gotta be
you
in
want
every-
him.
I want him in the passenger seat in every car ride.
all the time.
I just love it.
I will say this about Ted Danson real quick. He actually plays the annoyed bit so well.
He does.
He actually.
Yeah.
I'm like, I actually think he hates it.
He hates Larry.
He hates Larry.
He does play it really well.
Which is so good.
God, doesn't want to be around him.
No. Always so annoyed with him.
Dating his ex-wife.
Yeah.
It's the best.
Yeah.
Just hates
They
him.
give Susie a dog.
I know.
I brought a gift.
The Theragun.
Yeah, it's so good.
He
Then
just takes it back.
Yeah.
God, it's so good.
Yeah, it's so good.
Let's see what
You
else
guys
is going on
kept
here.
playing golf?
I struggle to be friends with people who don't like Curb.
Yeah.
I like it.
But then you could flip it and say, well, they probably don't like me either.
probably.
Right? So they're not missing out.
I
on
don't know
much.
who likes you.
Yeah.
Very few
You don't
people.
want that many friends anyway.
Nah.
No.
A former professional wrestler has also passed away. Michael Jones, known by the ring name Virgil, died at the age of 61.
Oh, that sucks.
Wasn't he connected at the hip with $1 Million Man?
That's right. Yeah.
yeah.
DiBiase. Cause
Virgil.
of death not reported. Only 61 years old. Jeez
God, the $1
Louise.
Million Man wailed.
He kicked ass.
Yeah.
What was Virgil's bit? You remember what his bit was?
I don't really, again, my memory of him is just essentially being around Ted DiBiase a lot. I don't remember if they were like a tag team or if they both just kind of leaned on the money thing. I don't remember the bit. I just remember Virgil being around him a lot.
Yeah.
God, 80s wrestling was sucked.
It's the best.
Sweet.
It was the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch some now on YouTube.
That sounds like
with your Salisbury
that
steak.
sounds like exactly how I would have guessed you were going to spend your leap day. Chris watches an hour and a half of headbutt videos a
Yeah.
day or two ago.
That's right.
Sauce
That
watches
then.
Virgil highlights on YouTube for
Yeah.
most of leap day.
And he probably does headbutt some people.
Is Ted DiBiase still with us?
He's never been here, as far as I know.
I feel like we talked about him dying.
Smoke from the Texas wildfires is expected to hit Minnesota today. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration reports a plume of the Texas wildfire smoke is likely to drift northeast over Minnesota today. However, the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency says the air quality today is expected to be green, which is good. Man, remember, about a year ago now, wasn't it? Maybe less than that? I guess it was last summer when all that smoke was in Canada.
Summer.
Holy moly, was that something else?
By the way, $1 Million Man still with us.
Oh, good for him.
70.
Yeah.
Theodore Marvin
I hope he
Willis.
invested well. Maybe he's the $1 billion man now, or maybe he's the $100,000 man.
Yeah.
Maybe he went crypto and listened to your stupidity.
Doge has had 2 or 3 monster days in a row.
Has it really?
Have they
Doge
really?
to the moon.
Oh my God, I haven't.
I didn't get a text about it. I didn't know.
Let me see if it's still.
Oh, boy,
last 2 days it's been skyrocketing.
I haven't even opened this app in forever.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, it's almost 13 cents a coin now. I think it was a couple days ago. It was 8. So
What did Hawk
nice
buy it
little
at?
50% bump in about 2 days.
What did Hawk buy it at?
I think Hawk bought it at something like 60 cents,
Yeah, and then I sold it.
and now it's 12.
You're still in the red, Hawk.
12.7.
Eddie.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. My
yeah,
life's in
they
the
oughta
red.
get-
I'm feeling pretty good.
You don't care.
Yeah,
they're
they're
going to
gonna
get some Salisbury steak, man.
The last week, Doge is up 50.24%.
Hell yeah, Beavis.
Well, yeah, Beavis, let's go.
You think Salisbury
I still have
Hill
it.
smelled like gravy?
Can we play Salisbury Hill?
Nope.
Do you think that's about Salisbury steak?
That's what I just said.
Sorry.
It's okay, buddy. You were thinking of your joke while I was saying it. It happens.
It does happen.
Yeah, it does.
If Salisbury Hill at the top of it served nothing but Salisbury steaks, I would run hills.
Yeah,
I doubt
no
it.
chance.
I'd run. Well,
You'd run
time
up there
out.
and
I'd
then-
run
Yeah.
one hill.
You'd roll
Yeah.
back down. Yeah,
Depends on how tall this hill is.
yeah, it's true.
Hills are the worst. Running hills in football practice I thought at one point in my life was going to be the death of me.
Yeah, and the hill felt the same way.
Yeah.
By the way, the
They're now
60K,
foothills.
right? The 60K to work out every day for a year.
Yeah.
If you take $60,000 divided by 365 days, that's getting paid. You would only work out if you get paid $164 a day.
Oh, well, okay. Sorry, math man.
Yeah.
One of my favorite villains on the Mega Man series was Math Man. Of
Mega Man wailed.
course it did.
Mega Man 2 all time.
The first bunch of them are awesome.
Yeah, they're awesome. Yeah.
Until they ran out of elements.
Yeah.
Right. Then it just, the names of the villains got preposterous.
Woodman, great.
Yeah, that's when they still made sense.
Aluminium.
Ben, did you play Mega Man?
No, I don't know what you guys
man.
are talking about.
I really don't either.
Did you play Nintendo?
Who's Woodman?
That's Tommy.
That's a terrible name.
There were a whole bunch of villains, and one of the
Actually, not Tommy.
we've talked about this a lot, but
Truth.
when we talked Mega Man in the past, but one of the game changers for Mega Man is it wasn't you got to it was kind of choose your own adventure instead of just Mario starts at World 1, Level 1.
Yeah.
On Mega Man, you got to pick which world you wanted to go to in what order based on which bad guy you wanted to fight first. But there was a strategic reason, like, all right, I'm going to fight Iceman first because then I'll use Iceman's weapon against Fireman.
Right.
So, like, there was a strategy in terms of the order in which you picked, but you theoretically could have gone in any order. So that was kind of fun, just to say, who do you want to fight first?
It was sweet.
It was sweet. Kind of holds up. It's very hard, though. It's much harder than you remember.
The Mega Man 2 had Metal Man.
Sure.
He was really into
Metal.
Slayer.
Airman. Wore a lot of Jordan shoes. Bubble Man.
Keep going.
Quick Man.
No, keep going with Bubble Man did what?
Bubble Man like gum. Quick Man was a horrible lay. Crash Man, like the song Crash Into Me by the Dave Matthews Band. Flash Man is friends with Rosie. They flash their peepees at parks.
No, that's illegal.
Adult-only parks.
Still.
Heat Man, he was a big Miami fan. And then Woodman he was endorsed by Blue Chew Chewables.
And finally,
I read this segment.
the Panakuchen Huis
Oh, no!
breakfast spot in St. Louis Park is gone. Suddenly closed its doors.
Devastating for Barrero.
A sign appeared on the door of the eatery carrying a message from owner Derek Moberg. It's with great gratitude and heavy hearts that we announce the closing of Panakuchen Huis after 25 years. Is it house or Huis? Huis.
I don't know.
I think it's
H-U-I-S.
I think it's house, but
Yeah, probably. The St. Louis Park restaurant had been operating since 1999 with the distinctive puffy oven-baked Dutch-style pancakes. It was the last remnant in the Twin Cities of the Edina, I should say, is the last remnant in the Twin Cities of the Edina-based Panakugan House family restaurants.
Used to go to the one in Maplewood when I was younger. Get like the 12 grain bread or whatever from Panakugan.
Yeah.
I think it's basically where the Best Buy is now. In that kind of like strip mall area, like across the street from the Myth, is where I remember Panakugan being.
I think if I remember right.
That's correct.
I think their kids' meals were served in like red cars, and each top of the car had like your sandwich, your side, and then like a fruit.
Okay, but when did you ever order the kids' meal?
I had 2 of them.
That makes sense.
They brought me
that checks out.
A tour van.
By the way, the last one.
Bring it in a semi-truck, please.
Is in Rochester, Minnesota. There's one last.
One left.
Oh, so there's one left.
There's one. And yep.
So is that one going to be like the Oregon Blockbuster? It's just going to be for nostalgia? Drive down to Rochester just for the one remaining one?
Guardsy and Barrero should do their show live from there.
That'd be a great bit, actually. See, now maybe that's your one good idea for 2024.
Well, I hope you didn't waste it on that.
I know. I hope you don't waste it on a different show.
So yesterday, they opened their show and he said, we're going to do Ode to a Dead Guy because Jerry Lewis died.
Richard Lewis.
Sorry.
Jerry Lewis died a long time ago.
But maybe they were going to talk about him. They said Richard Lewis died. And they go, well, we have a new death that just happened. I'm like, what the hell? And I got like nervous that it was somebody else. And then he was like, Panakugan Hoos is dead. I'm like, oh. I mean, that's sad, but...
That's a hell of a story.
Well, that's a great story.
I thought it was going to be somebody else.
Captivating 17 seconds.
It was the ride of the century is what it was. I wasn't sure where it was going, how it was going to end. I got emotional.
Yeah. You had all of us on the edge of our seats.
So they really do come in threes then. Richard Lewis, Virgil, and Panakugan Hoos.
Right.
And Jerry Lewis.
That's 4. And Biz Markie and Ted DiBiase.
Ted DiBiase's still with us.
Not after that story.
Oh, no. Poor Ted. You overreacted.
I mean, that's rock bottom.
Yeah, sorry, Ted.
Sauce will walk us through sports in a second with Ben Lieber. And then about 20 minutes from now, .com Tom Pelissero joins live from the NFL Combine. That would be sweet if he did. That Sauce is one good idea for 2024.
Fan.
Yes, welcome back, Patrick Morning Show. Oh, you know what? We was talking about the big sports tournaments going on in high school, but there's a big one going on this weekend. Here you go.
State wrestling takes center stage today at the XL Energy Center as the team competition runs all day on Thursday. Quarterfinals in the morning, semis and championship rounds in the evening. We'll crown 3 champions today. So it's the team tournament today, individuals Friday and Saturday at the XL Energy Center. You can catch all the action at nspn.tv.
There you go.
For the Minnesota News Network, I'm Ryan Phelps.
Good luck to all you grapplers out there. That's a hell of a thing. Did you ever wrestle in high school, Ben? I can't remember. I don't know.
Oh, no. Not in high school. I tried. When we lived in Iowa, it was a way bigger deal. So we did it. We did it as young kids, but I think I did it for like 2 years, maybe.
Yeah.
And then I got out.
Man, that's hard.
Yeah.
It's fun, though.
My brothers did it much longer than I did.
Oh,
and they were way better than I was.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. Did you wrestle? Are you a wrestler?
I did. I saw the movie Vision Quest, and not kidding you, that year I joined the wrestling team. I was terrible. Just terrible. Had no idea. Our coach was a great guy, really great guy, but he was too nice. So if he said
too nice,
yeah. If he said like, okay, we're gonna run laps, we'd say we don't want to. So we were, and one time we wrestled in the old elementary school gym, and it had a stage. And we told him that we weren't going to practice until we pretended that we were Ozzy Osbourne. So we turned on the music really loud and jumped around on stage like we were Ozzy Osbourne, and then we practiced. So were we any good? No.
Lord of the Flies.
Just terrible.
Inmates are running the asylum.
Just terrible. And we were bad because of it.
Ben, did you have a movie that inspired you as a youth?
Oh, Rad.
Oh, my God.
Oh, Rad for sure.
Oh, Nicole Kidman, man.
She was in it.
She was the main female character.
It's been so long. It's been so long. I don't even remember. I couldn't tell you who the characters were. I just remember that's what I want to do with my life.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a BMX superstar.
Hell yeah, man.
Let me tell you, man.
How'd that work out?
Not great. Not great.
You're probably not the right.
Have a ton of juice.
You're probably not the right size for a BMX world-class athlete. You're too big.
Not now, and
it's like
certainly
wanting
not
to be
then.
a jockey.
Yeah, when you wear husky clothes from the JCPenney's catalog, you're not a BMX trickster.
Sure. So you were in the tricks or the racing?
I wanted to do the tricks.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I wanted. Yeah, and I had a Huffy from Pomida.
Of course you did.
That,
Hell yeah.
I didn't know at the time was probably not the best.
Weighed about 1,000 pounds.
Yeah.
That was the thing,
Yeah,
but yes.
But I tried.
You sure did.
Sauce, was there a movie that inspired you to want to be something when you were younger?
Gilbert Grape.
Spaceballs, Pizza the Hut.
My brother calls me Pizza.
He does
Oh, God,
not.
how have I not thought of that?
Yeah, he calls me Pizza.
We got to get
Well,
that
you
to
are
stick.
delicious.
You are, man.
thank you.
And I tell you what, if you were made
heavyweights?
of pizza, I'd have a hard time not consuming you.
I mean,
Don't
for
say it.
No, I won't.
Okay.
Are you going to answer the question? Or
Probably Rudy. I wanted to play college football at Notre Dame, and then when I realized I get good grades, I was like, yeah, screw that.
it was the grades that turned you away?
Okay.
Oh,
Man, it was a lot of things, man.
yeah,
It's not
man.
kind. Yeah, it was everything. I'm not good at anything.
What about you,
Oh.
Zachary? Zachary, did you have a
Zach's
movie
here.
that inspired you? Is Mighty Ducks too obvious?
Yeah, I would say actually, oddly enough, the Mighty Ducks. They had a kid announcer in the movie. I think it was Mighty Ducks, and so, or maybe it was one of them. Anyway, so I was like, I want to be that kid. I want to.
You want to be the announcer, not the
And
athlete.
of course, yeah. So I was always, I loved playing hockey, and I was all right at it, but I always had an eye on the booth. So
Nice. Good. Look at you. Someday you'll be able to be in radio.
we'll hope so.
Hopefully you don't blow it on Sunday when you do Let's Play
Yeah,
Hockey. Did you hear about that, Ben?
I did.
Let's
Yes.
Play Hockey on Sunday.
I saw the video. You guys are fantastic. Way to set it all up. I'm sure it was a great surprise to you, Zacho. And yeah, man, I'm excited for you. It's gonna be fun.
I'm watching your tape. And
Are you gonna break down my tape?
Because you really. I'm also watching your Let's Play Hockey video as well.
Oh, all right.
Oh, so you jumped on my OnlyFans?
Yes. Yeah.
Jeez.
By the way, I am apparently confused Rad with BMX Bandits. My apologies.
Oh.
BMX Bandits was Nicole Kidman.
BMX Bandits?
Yes.
I've never even heard
No,
of
I
this.
haven't either.
Yeah, that was her.
No, I
first-
never even heard of that
first
either.
film.
Wasn't Rad the one that had Send Me an Angel by Real Life on the soundtrack?
That sounds right to me
Great
because that
point.
is an Australian movie. So
Can
that
we
sounds
play it?
right. Probably not.
It's part
It's
of
a
the
news
show.
story. It's in the news.
Yeah, Send Me an Angel is back.
By the way, Lori Loughlin was in Rad.
Man, is she pretty too. I
Yeah.
mean,
She's super
she
pretty.
schemes to get her kids into college, but she is
Yeah.
kind of a stunner.
Well, they couldn't ride bikes to save their lives. She tried.
She was Seinfeld's girlfriend for one episode. That was, again, one of the genius things Seinfeld did was just swap out a
Terry
9.5 for a
Hatchers,
9.5 basically every week.
Yeah.
Just dated just killers.
And then give him just one little thing that drove
Yep.
him crazy and he couldn't stand. Yeah,
Yep.
love that.
One of the best bits ever.
Sorry.
Do you remember? So Ben Stiller's wife, maybe ex-wife now, Christine Taylor.
I think it's his ex.
Is it? Oh, okay.
There was an episode of Seinfeld where she played the girlfriend and looks like Christine, right? Super pretty. And Jerry just was like, this gal's perfect. She's interesting. She's funny. She's beautiful. But George and Kramer are like, what are you doing with her? This has got to stop. And Christine's friends, I forget the character's name, they were just like, oh, we're so happy you're taking her out. Like, what, is she getting out of a bad breakup? No. So, like, she was the loser, but Jerry
So
couldn't
her
figure...
flaw was that she was just like the loser
Well,
of the group.
But there didn't seem to be any flaws. And Jerry, like, kept pushing back, like, no, she's perfect. What are you guys talking about? And then Jerry's parents came in, met her, and they're like, she's lovely. And then he's like, okay, I got to break up with her. My parents love her. Something has to be
always a
wrong.
reason.
So she was kind of that was kind of the joke. She was perfect, but I'm going to have to move on.
There you go.
So perfection was the flaw.
Time for
I guess.
Fan 5 on the Power Trip.
looker.
Presented by All Around Property Preservation.
Yeah, thank you all around.
The Minnesota Timberwolves beat the Grotesque Grizzlies 110-101 and had 34. He had 34 points in both games of this back-to-back. The Wolves are 42-17. They are a half game ahead of the Thunder for first place in the West. They've won 3 straight and 7 of 8. They battle the Kings tomorrow at Target Center. Game time is 7 p.m.
I was there.
And you filed this report.
I think I saw Karl Anthony Towns complain maybe once.
Really? See, that's a big change this year.
But-
we have to acknowledge that.
But I think I saw Anthony Edwards complain 1,600 times.
Yeah, Jim
no.
Pete brought it up.
No, there definitely were 3 or 4 times. I'm like, how does he not get that call? And I
Yeah.
think that's what's frustrating Ant the most is he is a world-class all-star caliber player. He should be, quote, getting the calls.
Yeah.
He had a dunk that I was convinced he got hacked by like 6 guys. Yeah. I think Memphis had an additional man out there just to foul him. And he looked back at the ref and just death stared him.
Yeah.
Death stared him. Like, how could you not call that foul?
He's so good.
He's so good. He must have had 6 dunks last night. He was all over the place.
Yeah. He had 17 points in the third quarter.
Yeah, and again, 14-0 start for the Grizzle.
Yeah.
And it was
That's all your fault.
awkward at Target Center. It was, what is going on here? Because again, no Desmond Bain, no Marcus Smart, John Morant's out for the year. They got nobody. It's Jaren Jackson and a bunch of guys you've never heard of, and they weren't missing. And the Wolves were clanking everything. 14-0 start.
Do they still do? Because I went to my first Wolves game in years earlier this year.
Interesting.
They still do the thing where they stand up and then you wait till they.
Yes. So
you
that
stood up
lasted through
for-
a timeout. And again, my 10-year-old, her view was getting blocked, and she goes, "Are we going to have to stand the whole game?" I'm like, "I think they're just waiting for the Wolves to score." And she's like, "How long is this going to take?" I'm like, "I don't know."
I don't know.
It should have happened by now. So yeah, she was not thrilled about that, but then they scored, and then it was fine. So yeah, good win. I don't hate these wins. I know you should just blow a team like Memphis out.
Whoa.
Yeah. Whoa. Good thing you followed that up.
Yeah. But we've had a bunch of these this year where I don't care if you have to go toe-to-toe with a bad team and then squeak out a 1-point win. We are not playoff tested. We need as many of these games as possible. You were down 14 rip. I don't care if it's 5 minutes into the first quarter. You got to pull your big boy pants up and beat an undermanned bad team. And they did. So if you start 14 rip and then lose by 37 in Memphis, what are we doing here?
Right.
Right. When Cat did play, right, he didn't play the night before because of personal reasons, and had the ankle problem the night before. He played last night. Rudy was there. You had everybody back. Yeah. No, except for Kyle Anderson. No excuses.
Rudy.
Here's
And
Finch.
they did it.
I'm sorry. Here's Finch on the win.
And you can see we didn't have a ton of juice with the way that they were going to guard
You
us.
like the juice?
They were going to force us to put the work in offensively. I just kind of knew it was going to be like that, and just wasn't losing my mind. We tightened the game up by the end of the first quarter, and it was fine. But guys found a way back to back. A lot of guys played heavy minutes last night, so yeah, it was a really good win for us.
And when they called that timeout, when they were down, 14-0 or early on in that run that they had to open the game, he just stared at him like the dad when you come home late. He was like, "What are you guys
Just
doing?
disappointed,
Get
yeah.
this together."
I love him because it sounds like dinner's always waiting in the other room.
correct.
It's just like, okay, guys, I'm hungry.
He's the best.
He is.
He hates sitting there
He
talking
does.
about that.
He hates it, but he does it. But he hates it.
He's like, "Do you guys realize I got a Salisbury steak waiting for me over there?"
Man, somebody sent me a picture of a Salisbury steak. Now I'm starving.
So you mentioned Sauce at the Thunder, who did not play last night, right? A half a game behind the Wolves.
Yeah.
The Clippers, meanwhile, are falling apart.
Yeah, falling
So
apart.
they looked like they were a disaster to start the year. Then they go on this crazy hot run and basically catch the top teams in the West. And now they just can't win. They're just falling apart and looking old again. They blew a 21-point lead to the Lakers last night.
And the Lakers are terrible.
So
just
the
terrible.
Clippers now 4 games behind the Wolves.
Is that where James Harden plays now?
Yep.
Yeah, that's probably why.
He's got a good beard, man.
Yeah.
They're just old.
Corey has a nice beard, too.
Yeah,
he went to the
she's
game
sweet.
with it last night.
What the hell's that supposed to mean?
Zinga. The Gophers lost 105-97 to the Fighting Illini. Hogs Daddy, your Gophers have lost 2 straight. They have 3 regular season games left before the Big Ten tournament.
What'd you win, $50?
I did.
$50.
And I paid him in
He
cash.
did. He paid me in cash, man.
Oh, is that why you needed
Yeah.
change for
Yeah.
100?
Yeah.
Why'd you pay him in cash and not Venmo
Money
him?
bags?
I just had 100 on me.
But why wouldn't you
it
just
100.
Venmo him?
I don't know. It said air for some reason. And then I thought my checking account got hacked. It didn't.
Is it air or
Yeah, it wouldn't let me pay Hawk.
AIR, air.
It said air. I don't know. Sorry, I don't speak good the English. The Penn State,
Wait, can I play Ben Johnson's audio?
Yeah.
Here's Ben Johnson.
Well, I really loved the fight. I thought our guys competed for 40 minutes. I thought our fight, I thought our edge, I thought we battled. I got zero complaints there. We knew to beat this team or to be in the game, you have to score. And so 97 is what it is, but I'm just most proud of the battle, the fight, and the perseverance on the road against a really, really good team.
Man, I wish so badly they could make the tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it's not going to happen.
Unless they win the Big Ten tournament.
I know.
And the kid that they played last night, that Terrence Shannon, is a projected lottery pick. So you're talking about one of the best players in the country, and he had 29 points against him. So they hung with him. That's a top 4 seed in a bracket in the NCAA tournament, right? They're probably that good, and you're dealing with a future NBA player, and they stuck with him until, I don't know, I think it was like a 4-point game or a 6-point game, and then they stretched it to 10-ish or so. Ended up winning by 8.
Yep.
At the barn last night, Caitlin Clark's Iowa Hawkeyes crushed the Gophers 108-60. Caitlin had 33 points.
Duh.
Zacho, the Wild battle the Preds tonight in Nashville. This is a massive game for the Wild. That game will be at 7 o'clock. This is a must win, or is it a need to win?
That's hockey, I think.
Still probably need to, but close to must. The Predators have won 6 straight. It sucks. It sucks because, you look at, they've won 6 straight. The Flames, who are on fire right now,
Well played.
won 4 straight. So there's just so many really good teams in that they're battling with that they need to get every point they possibly can. And another thing, too, that nobody's talking about, we got to do this. If they beat the Predators tonight, they got to do it in regulation. They cannot give Nashville that extra point. Do it
Hawk's
in
been
regulation.
saying that.
Yeah, from the top.
Yeah, that's actually where I stole it from.
Whitney hates you.
Yes, she does.
Hockey takes with hockey.
Tom Pelissero next, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
.com Tom, live from the Combine. We'll ask him what the Vikings are going to do, and he'll tell us, and then we'll know. That's next.
iHeart Radio station.
All right, welcome back. 742. About to jump on the phone with .com Tom while you gentlemen talks amongst yourselves. Gentlemen?
Rhode Island, neither a road nor an island. Discuss.
Well, let's give away some tickets, shall we? Breaking Benjamin, Daughtry rocking the Mayo Clinic Health System Event Center in Mankato, April 9th. You can head over to KFAN.com. Keyword calendar for your tickets today, but caller 11 right now will win your way in. 1-800-320-5326. Good luck.
Thanks.
Hey, can I read a quick stat I was just sent?
Sure.
Yes, please.
There have been over 300,000 games across the NBA, WNBA, and Division I men and women's basketball in the last 25 seasons. And only one of those did a team score 95-plus points, shoot 70% or better from 3, have 5 or fewer turnovers, and lose. That was the Gophers last night.
Okay, go through that one more time. That was a lot of numbers.
Say that again. There have only been 300,000. There have been over 300,000 games over the NBA, the WNBA, and Division I men and women's basketball in the last 25 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
In only one of those did a team score 95 or more points, shoot 70% or better from 3, and have 5 or fewer turnovers. That team was the Minnesota Golden Gophers last night.
And lose.
And they lost.
Oh.
Wow. So basically what you're saying, you had a historic defensive collapse.
Yeah. Not good.
Because you can't be that good. Historically, one of the best offensive productions you've ever.
Right. You shouldn't lose that. And they did.
It's time for Vikings news on the Power Trip, presented by
Redco, your truck accessories pro.
All right, live from the NFL Combine. He's probably had a bunch of drinks with Paul Allen and Pete Bursich. Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network. Hi, Tom.
How we doing, fellas?
We're doing good. Ben's back from Hawaii. He's looking rested. Sauce and Ben are talking Viking strategy, draft strategy off the air. What's the Combine vibe? What are you learning? What are you feeling?
Well, last night, put it this way, you could tell walking through some of the hotels, like the whole NFL now has descended upon Indianapolis. there's certainly a lot of discussions. You always, you walk by agents meeting with various team people, and in your head, you're trying to figure out exactly what they might be discussing. But at the same time, in recent years, there really hasn't been a lot of deals that truly get done early. Teams don't want to float numbers that then agents can go and shop to other teams. Agents are reluctant to go, too far on certain things as well. But this is also where a lot of the trade talks and whatnot are kind of sparked. They begin in Indianapolis, and then, next week in the lead up to free agency is where a lot of times you'll see some of those various trades or contract extensions come to fruition.
Hey, Tom, good to talk to you again. I wish I was there in Indy with you guys. But here's a question I have for you. I know that you probably have talked about this a little bit. This is not anything really new, but it seems like it grabs a little bit of headlines every year because there's more and more prominent named organizations and coaches that don't show up to the combine. And they're like, hey, man, we don't get as much work done there as you think. What is, as every year goes on and more teams opt out, what is the sentiment this year with teams not showing up for the combine?
A lot of the teams, obviously still send people here, whether it's the scouts, the assistant coaches. Now, I did talk to some head coaches who were here, but they're going to leave, before the drills, for instance, just go through all the interview process. It's really long been, it's less about what we show on NFL Network, although that's obviously the fun part, watching guys run the 40 and do the vertical jump and do the positional drills. But really, it's the medical and the interviews that are the most valuable to teams. Well, obviously, football coaches and general managers don't need to, they're not pulling on guys' legs to see if their knee's stable. That's a whole other department. And then with regard to the interviews, the head coaches can, participate via Zoom. So it's just a matter of, how do you want to use your time at this time of year? It's still the overwhelming majority of coaches and GMs still do show up. You're right. There's, Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan, Matt LaFleur. Robert Saul actually is coming in for a little bit of this thing, this weekend. It's just, I think a case by case basis, but there's definitely something to be said for, when you have interviews that begin at 7 a.m. and end at 11 p.m. with various fits and starts throughout the course of the day. That is a long day where, just based upon how you're kind of walking around and moving, you're spending a week of your time doing that and not, working on any scheme or anything else you got going on.
Tom, the last time we had you on, you mentioned that the Vikings are in a very weird spot where they have two free agents, big name free agents that they can't franchise tag either of them. What's the latest you're hearing about Kirk and Danielle Hunter?
Well, Kirk, he posted that video the other day of him, throwing on the tennis court. Everything I've heard is that he's ahead of schedule, and I don't really anticipate that his marketplace is going to be impacted by that injury or his age. You just got so many moving parts right now in the quarterback market, because remember, here in Indianapolis, Caleb Williams came in yesterday, a day after all the other quarterbacks came in. He's not working out. He's not doing the medical, which he's the first player that anybody can really remember that's not doing it. It's common in other sports for top prospects like the NBA, but in the NFL, everyone always is submitted to medical testing. But he's, this is the first time that teams, not including, the area scouts might have met somebody during a visit in the fall or whatever, but it's the first time you're really sitting down and getting to know him or get to know Drake May or Jaden Daniels or J.J. McCarthy. And then there's also obviously, you got one team at the top of the draft and the Bears, they kind of control everything here. And, to this point, they've got a very good idea internally of what they're going to do, but they hadn't talked to Caleb, and they got to figure out, whether or not they can get what they would want for Justin Fields. I ultimately believe they're going to trade Justin Fields, and they're going to take Caleb Williams at number one, just because when you're in year 3 as a head coach and general manager, if for the second consecutive year you pass on the quarterback, you may not get another opportunity to go and choose your own guy. So, all that's to say, between Baker Mayfield and Kirk Cousins and the Justin Fields trade possibility, and, whatever you think of, Russell Wilson at this point, some of those other, the Gardner Minshew's, kind of those borderline starter type guys, Ryan Tannehill, and then the draft class, at some point the first domino is going to go, and then these things will move quickly. But when you go down that list of teams that need a quarterback, whether that is, the Vikings, obviously, because Kirk's not under contract, the Falcons, the Patriots, the Commanders, Atlanta's one of the big ones that they're going to have to figure something out. Raheem Morris, the other day has brought up to me to say, hey, that's the elephant in the room. We need a quarterback. Once one of those dominoes falls, then you'll start to see other things happen. But really, it's the Bears who control this, because if they're going to trade Justin Fields, you would definitely think that happens prior to the start of free agency, because the moment that teams go out and sign somebody else, that's one fewer landing spot. It's harder to get value for them. That's probably the first domino, along with Russell Wilson, in all likelihood, being released unless he's willing to accept a restructured contract here. So those will be the first couple, and then that'll kind of help shake out exactly what the options are for Kirk Cousins. But that's also his agent Mike McCartney's here in Indianapolis, and I'm sure, even though you're not supposed to talk to agents of players that aren't on your own team, I would take a wild guess that maybe some people might be whispering a few things in Mike's ear.
So let's stick with Caleb Williams, because I saw this report, and I believe it's true that the Vikings were one of the teams that has requested an interview with him at the Combine to sit down and talk to him. And I thought that was interesting because, part of it is, they're probably doing their due diligence, right? Obviously there's potential need for a quarterback for the Vikings. But to sit down with Caleb Williams, who everybody thinks is going to be the number one pick, are we to make anything of that? The fact that we're sitting at 11 and they want to talk to Caleb Williams? Are they just doing their due diligence? What do you make of it?
Well, Kwesi's not afraid to do trades within the division. Obviously, he's done a couple of pretty significant ones with the Lions. But even Kwesi's not crazy enough to think that the Bears are trading him the number one pick. I'm sure he might inquire, he might poke around at it, but I don't think realistically, they believe that. I think it is gathering the due diligence, because again, unless you had guys who were in the Senior Bowl, like Bo Nix from Oregon was in the Senior Bowl, Michael Penix, he didn't actually play in the Senior Bowl game, but he was there during the week. So you got a lot of those interviews done. With some of these other guys, Drake May and Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams, they're all underclassmen who were not in any of the All-Star games, even though in a limited capacity you can go to All-Star games now as underclassmen, but none of those guys were there. So just spending that 15 minutes, I think you get 45 of them now in terms of the formal interviews. And then there's also informal interviews that take place here. But, it's the same list of teams more or less that are interviewing all the top quarterbacks, just because no one can say with 100% certainty 2 months out how the draft is going to go. So that list of teams it's the Bears who are at 1, Washington at 2, the Patriots at 3, the Giants are at 6, the Falcons are at 8, the Vikings are at 11, I think the Raiders are at 14. Those teams are interviewing all the same guys. They all have requests in for all those top quarterbacks, and that's not to say, you think that Caleb Williams is going to slide regardless of what he does or says over the next couple of months here, but in the event that a rare opportunity might pop up, you want to be adequately prepared for that.
When you look at, I know it's 2 months out, Tom, but when you look at this, let's say 2 weeks from now, Cousins is back with the Vikings. From what you've heard down there at the Combine, do you think the Vikings still would attack quarterback at pick 11?
I think that there's, a distinct possibility that they could end up, drafting a quarterback. If they re-sign Kirk, I don't anticipate them going down that way just from a resource, management type of a perspective here. But, you never say never. That position's too important to not have the future plan. And ultimately, Kevin and Kwesi and everybody else know that they've got to find that next guy. And that's kind of the spot that they're in. I think that's the best way to kind of look at where the Vikings stand right now, which is, the Wilfs historically have never wanted to go full ground up rebuild. They always want to be competitive. And if you're, Kevin O'Connell, you've shown you can win 13 games with kind of this mishmash of veteran players, and you may not have the guys who are totally fit, but ultimately you want to, go and get the quarterback. Well, if you're never terrible, if you're never just a really, really bad team, you don't have a top 10 pick. The 11th overall pick is, about as high as the Vikings realistically are going to be, just because they're never going to be terrible with their team building philosophy and, with the ownership philosophy and with a really good head coach in Kevin O'Connell. So and that's where it comes down to with Kirk Cousins, it's the price. If they feel like the price is right to re-sign Kirk, whether that's, a 2-year deal, a 3-year deal, or whatever, then, I'd be shocked if they go and then draft the guy at number 11 just because of all the money that you're already putting into that position. But if you re-sign Kirk, I wouldn't be surprised if they come back in, second round, third round, whatever, and take the guy who might be sliding through, just because you need to have somebody else in that development pipeline. I know they took Jaron Hall last year. He's got a medical history. He obviously, had the concussion in his first start out there. That was a value type pick on the third day of the draft. At some point, they're gonna draft a quarterback higher than that. But if you re-sign Kirk, that of course would take place before the draft, and that'd be a pretty clear sign that you just don't think realistically you can go and get that guy you want right now.
So in local news here with the Vikings announced that they've hired Josh McCown as the new quarterbacks coach. And then they took the quarterbacks coach, Chris O'Hara, moved him to the pass game specialist. I know everybody's out there posting pictures of Josh with Drake May back in high school. He coached him in high school. Are we to make anything of that sort of that new hire as well? And what does Josh McCown do for this organization as the quarterbacks coach now?
It is funny that you've got that many of those situations right now because everybody did the same thing with Caleb Williams and Cliff Kingsbury. And meanwhile, Jaden Daniels was recruited to Arizona State by Antonio Pierce, who's now the Raiders head coach. It's a small football world in a lot of ways, especially surrounding events like this. But, with regard to Josh McCown, he's well regarded within the league. There's a lot of reasons that things didn't go well last year in Carolina, but he's always been viewed as like a future, head coach type. So they obviously wanted to change up the room a little bit. Chris O'Hara is somebody who goes way back with Kevin O'Connell. I know that he's valued in that building, but they felt like making some tweaks to the staff made sense. And, McCown is going to be a positive presence. I would say that at minimum here, and it'll be interesting to see because he's not that far removed from his own playing days. He's a little bit older than Kirk, but that's a different type of a deal when you got somebody who's played as many games as Josh McCown has. And one game that is still pretty painful for Vikings fans.
When you look around the quarterback landscape, and you mentioned Justin Fields and then some of these other guys, is there going to be a situation where the teams that Kirk could use as leverage are going to dry up?
No.
Thanks, PJ. Like if Justin Fields went to Atlanta and then you got somebody else goes to the Raiders, are those some of the teams that he could sign with that are going to be gone?
Well, and that's what I mean by, the early shoes that drop are going to be, Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. But it's also a matter of, the agent's job right now is to know exactly what the options are going to be. If you're in the Justin Fields market, ultimately, you're probably not also in the Kirk Cousins market. You're talking about different types of players, different scenarios. One's a trade where you're probably going to have to go up a high pick. The other one's a big money free agent signing. I think that, there's definitely something to the idea that there will be fewer suitors. But again, this is all happening way before the start of, the NFL draft too. Kirk will have a home one way or another by March 13th, I would anticipate here. And I still believe there's going to be ample opportunities for him, whether, some of the same teams we discussed last week. It could be Atlanta. It could be a team like Denver. It could be a return to Washington. And obviously the Vikings have been very upfront about the fact that, they would like Kirk back. It's really just a matter of at what price.
Have you gotten blackout drunk with any member of an executive group of any team in the NFL this week?
I try not to get blackout drunk just in general, but particularly at events like this when I'm on Good Morning Football every day at 7 a.m. Eastern time. That would be a poor decision. I think the days of just going to Ike and Jonesy's and having a few too many beers, those are probably behind me at this point, Corey. But we're having a good time here. Put it this way. It takes a long time to walk one block in this city because there are so many different people here. The lack of sleep more so than anything I might be imbibing late night is probably my issue at this point.
All right. So I don't remember who said, I think it was maybe Kevin Seifert with Barrero. I don't remember who said this, but earlier this week I heard somebody explain the combine as members of NFL staffs either go out and party and they're out until 4 o'clock in the morning, or they go to bed early and are up at like 5 or 6 in the morning getting coffee. And you have to, as a reporter, decide, am I going to stay out super late because I'm going to get the best information from the guys that have had 6 beers? Or do I want to be the first one that's clean and awake and I'm at the coffee shop at 6? It sounds like you're leaning towards strategy 2 to get up early and see him at the coffee shop.
Like if I can get 4 hours of sleep, that's a pretty good number. So I try to be on both ends of that spectrum. But yeah, I'm not closing down Prime 47 like some of the other people here. That would be a rough turnaround to TV at 7 a.m.
Right, but is that an accurate depiction of the strategy that you have to pick? That there's the both ends of the extreme.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that most people choose the former. I think most people are choosing the late night one because there might be a little better information flowing when one thing's being drank versus another. But no, I mean, listen, there's a lot of stuff that goes on, in Indianapolis. There's a lot of moving parts. It's a matter of, we all know the places you can hang out and see people walk by or in the hallways or which Starbucks is going to have the most activity at it. You develop that strategies over the course of time, which is why I know everybody in the media is rooting for this thing to never leave Indianapolis.
Makes sense. Tom, you're the best, dude.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, fellas.
All right, Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network. You can see him on TV constantly. Of course, he's all over social media as well. He's covering the NFL and the NFL scouting combine like an absolute blanket. I think we might get him on weekly this fall. We're trying to talk him into doing that. That'd be sweet. We love Tom.
Dude, that'd be sweet.
That would be sweet.
He knows his stuff.
He knows his stuff. Yeah. Tom knows names that some of the rest of us don't hear.
What?
Right, Sauce?
Correct.
Because he's plugged in. More of the Power Trip Morning Show after this on The Fan.
The Fan.